Hello. How is everybody? I have not gone live in so long. I haven't really been on YouTube for quite a while. It was a little confusing to me with this top chat thing. So let's see if I can get it to work. I tried to pull it up ahead of time. How's everybody today? It is a dreary Saturday afternoon. Sun has not come out all day. There we go. Hey, Bless. How are you doing, honey? Gosh, I've missed everybody so much. Well, yeah, I got the chat to work. Because it's not in live time. Hey, Claire, thank you. Can you see I'm in my little virtual classroom here? Hey, Jamie. Hey, Beryl Cheryl. I like that name. Hey, Regina. I'm actually going to see if I can pull this up over here. So I see the top chat option, which doesn't make any sense. And then I just put on live chat, right? I guess it filters for you comments you might not want to see. Whatever. Anyway, I just got done. So I thought, well, since I'm here and dressed and have the computer on, I thought I'd come live. Yeah, I got it. Click the live chat. Hey, Christy. Oh my gosh, I've been really good, Christy. Really good for the most part. I hope you're doing okay. How have you been feeling? Never answer that because the answer is usually not good, but I think about you all the time, Christy, and I still want to do an interview with you. I know that, excuse me for a minute, I had said that I wanted to interview some people that I really admire on YouTube, and so far I've only gotten to Uber, but you know, she's pretty much the queen. Hey, devil dog. No comment, baby. Christy, honey. You all will see when I finally get around to taping that interview. Christy is living every day a nightmare, and she's doing it with grace and humor and kindness. And I want to learn from her because I have about 1/8 of the amount of daily struggle and pain that Christy goes through. And I don't do it as well as she does. Hey, Debbie, I'm good. Oh, you're cooking? Good. What you cooking, Debbie? You probably can't answer because you're cooking. As a matter of fact, I was debating another promise I had made that I didn't follow through with is I was going to show you that how to make that sesame chicken that I love so much. And I'm actually making it tonight. And I was going to show you all that, but it's hard to cook and talk at the same time. And since I had a few things I really wanted to address, I thought I better sit down. Okay, I'm going to switch back over here and look at my phone because I don't like that. Anyways, anybody doing anything exciting this weekend? It doesn't feel like Saturday to me at all. Wednesday felt like Saturday. Let's see. Okay, there we go. Let me pull it up here. What does anybody use that top chat option? I don't even really understand. Anyway, can you sell? I've got my lighting a little bit different. I had to do, well, let me tell you about the job first. I think the last time I talked to you, and some of you are friends with me on Facebook, so you know a little bit more. But I had asked last time if anybody had a puppet because what I'm doing is teaching English to Chinese children. And they can be very beginners where they know nothing, you know, around 4 or 5 years old, all the way up to somebody who's fairly fluent. So, of course, with the little ones and even with the bigger ones, I mean, everybody likes a puppet. So I'll be glad to announce that I did. I got 2 puppets, as a matter of fact. Hello. So you've got to use a lot of what they call TPR, which is total physical response. So it's a lot of um, body language, to demonstrate if it's an elephant or if it's a flag, So I have been collecting lots and lots of props. I've got the emoji. I found these at the dollar store. The lesson was happy, sad, and angry. So I was so thrilled that I found these. But anyway, um, this is a major triumph for me, as you probably can understand, because while I've worked my entire life, I've always, always, always worked. Hey, Jillian, you angel. I love you so much. Hey, Chair Bear. Thank you, honey. And I think that's something that I'm going to bitch about later. I actually made a little list of topics that I wanted to address, but everybody pretty much wants to work. I mean, it makes you feel better when you work. There's a whole theory behind that. There's actually a charity here that started in Raleigh by a friend of mine who teaches people how, gets people in the workplace. And that's part of like their spiritual growth type thing. Anyway, I volunteered for that before, and it does really make a difference in people's lives. So I haven't been able to work for a little while now. Going back to even when I was a little girl, I remember I got certified by the Red Cross at 11 to be a babysitter, which I don't even know if they do that anymore. But it's crazy. And I was babysitting even before 11, like infants. People would leave their infants with me. And that's crazy when I think about that now. I thought about my niece and nephews when they were 11, they were babies. But anyway, all throughout college, I worked. I worked at the gym and at the admissions center. And in the summers, I waited tables. And, I've always, always worked. And then after I graduated, I started teaching. Then I had a catering business and worked at the dentist office. And that's pretty much the last big job that I had. And then, as you know, I got in trouble. My life turned completely around, and I know you've heard this before, but just one bad decision can make your life go from what I would consider the most perfect life. I mean, I had the ideal life. I had great friends, a great boyfriend, a beautiful house, just lovely animals, everything you could want. And I knew it was a great life. And me making pretty much one bad decision turned into a whole landslide of bad decisions and me getting in trouble for it. So if anybody doesn't know that, I don't want to share. I don't know how much to share and how much to talk about it, but, I'm open to any questions ever. Nothing is off limits. I will answer anything. Hey, Stephanie. So, and all of that, was due to me developing this chronic pain issue, which went undiagnosed for like, oh gosh, 8 years. Well, I mean, not that long, about 6 or 7 years. Nobody knew what was wrong. And so I started to self-medicate, and that led to me basically forging those prescriptions or refilling those prescriptions, and that's what got me in trouble. So after I got out, not only did I have a bad record now, but I also had this terrible, debilitating disease, the CMT, which, believe it or not, I actually got diagnosed with that in prison. So that was kind of a mixed blessing. I think I've told that story before. Yes, I did get the teaching job, Christy. So that meant it was very, very, very hard for me to find a job. I actually did find a job within 2 weeks when I got out. And I was just freaking determined to prove to my friends and family that I wasn't going to go down that route anymore, because it was like 2 years of in and out of jail, living on the streets, living in cars, people not knowing if I was dead or alive, my mom by the phone waiting for a phone call saying her daughter was dead. I mean, horror. So I wanted to try to begin to reverse that and build back their trust. And so the first thing was I wanted to get a job. So I walked everywhere. I walked trying to find a job that was within walking distance, and I did. I got a job actually at Bruegger's Bagels 2 weeks after I got out. And I actually didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my friends or family that I was getting out. They didn't even know that I was home. And it was like 2 days after, no, 2 days before Thanksgiving that I got out. And I didn't tell anyone. I found out because my niece and I were talking on YouTube, on Facebook, a couple days after Christmas. But that's how badly I wanted to build up, show that I had a job, that I was going to meetings, and I was found a doctor. Those were my goals that I had in place before I wanted to contact my family. So that was the last time I was working, and that was like 2 years ago. I guess, yeah, about 2.5 years ago. And that's where I developed that first, well, it wasn't the first, it was one of many that had ulcers that got on the bottom of my foot. And since I was on my feet and I was actually still walking to and from work most of the time, my doctor said that he would not treat me and would not do the surgery unless I stopped my job. So all of that is to say, hey, B, my little beautiful B that I love, love, love. She gives me hope that there are still good people on YouTube. Oh, thank you, Christy. It's very hard. I'm not gonna lie. It is mentally hard. For me, it's physically hard. But what are my options? So anyway, I've spent these last 2 years just going to doctors, having surgeries, I've had like 4 different surgeries since then, and it's been awful. It takes away your sense of motivation because anyway, you probably can understand. And those of you who are in chronic pain, who can't work and want to work, you know exactly what I'm saying. And when this opportunity came around so on top of all that, by the way, I know I'm rambling, but I couldn't use my teaching degree that I had worked so hard for because technically I'm not allowed to go into schools. If you have a felony, you're not even allowed to be around children. I mean, how devastating is that for me? Even though I've kept in really good contact with all the teachers I used to work with and my principal, we're all really close. And, they don't see me any differently, but the law's the law. So when this opportunity came for me to teach from home and teach children overseas, where that's not an issue, I was just thrilled. But when I heard about it, probably just like you're like, this can't be true. You hear about these little schemes all the time. But my aunt told me about it, and she had 2 former students that were actually doing it, and they were doing it on the side. They had full-time jobs, but they were doing this just to make extra money. So, yeah, B, that's kind of like, when you're a nurse and you lose your license, you have the ability to get it back. I know it's really, really hard because I worked with those nurses go through to get your license back, but at least you have the ability to possibly do that. With teaching, when you're dealing with kids, you can't mess around. It's not something that they want to even entertain, which I can understand. Sorry for saying so much. But this job will enable me to work as much or as little as I want. I don't have to be on my feet, and I can be from home, and you can make. So it was like, this is a dream come true. And I've been working on it for a while. Actually, before I had my big surgery in December, I had started gathering some things because you have to create a classroom. There's a lot of prep work that goes into it, but I think it was last Monday, I did the final, you have to do a mock lesson, and that's when I finally got hired. So I'm just really, really excited about that. And thank you all for your support and for just rooting me on. I appreciate it. And I'll let you all know how it goes. But so far, I've been incredibly impressed with this company. And by the way, if anybody's interested and wants to know more about it, I don't want to say the name or anything because I don't, this is my private life and I don't want to mix the two. But if anybody is interested, you're welcome to message me and I'll talk to you privately about it. The only requirement, you don't have to have teaching experience. And of course, you don't have to know anything about China or Chinese, but you have to have a bachelor's degree. So if you have that, then that is the only requirement from there. Now, of course, you get paid more if you've been a teacher and know how long you've been teaching. If you have your master's, et cetera, you get paid more. But the starting pay for just somebody with a bachelor's is very, very competitive. So if you are interested, and a lot of the teachers are like stay-at-home moms who maybe were a teacher before but have babies, so they teach like when the child's sleeping or at nighttime, because it's in Beijing and they're 14 hours ahead of us. So you could potentially be teaching in the middle of the night if that's what you want, because it would be their daytime. Is Chaos here? Hey, Angel. Donna, my dear. Cheshire, so good to see you. Gosh, I love you guys. I missed you. Forgotten how many wonderful people are here. Smelly feet, can you show us your beautiful feet? They don't exist. I don't have beautiful feet, so I I wouldn't have done that even before I had all the problems I have. Yuck. So I wanted to tell you about that, and then thank you for deleting that, Jamie. I don't watch everything by any means, but I started watching a couple people that I don't necessarily watch all the time that maybe aren't my favorite. Somebody actually watching somebody they don't like. That's one of the things I want to talk about. I'll just say this part right now. Don't people stop saying, if you don't like me, don't watch me. It's a pointless, useless idea. And maybe in theory it works, but in reality it doesn't. And there is such thing as loving to hate somebody. And I use that word not literally, because that's a very strong word, but think about how many TV shows have people on them that you don't like, or maybe even the whole show is made up of people that you love to hate, like The Bachelor and all the housewives of Hollywood and New York and Atlanta. All those main, almost all reality shows have somebody on there that makes you cringe, but you love to watch it. And that's the way YouTube is. Take it as a compliment. That's just the way it is. Now, there are some people, if somebody really doesn't like you, as in they find you boring, then they're not going to watch you. You don't need to tell them that. And you all know, you probably have subscriptions that pop up that you saw one video that you like, so you subscribed, and then they come up on your subscription list and you're like, don't want to watch them. The reason why you don't want to watch them is because they're boring. You don't find them interesting. But now the people that you hate that you're watching, you actually are entertained, and there's something about them that you like, just like you're watching the TV shows with characters in them that you don't like. So take it as a compliment. Stop saying, if you don't like me, don't watch me. It's just stupid. And that goes along with the next thing I want to say. Kimberly, Stephanie, and boy, are there some serious train wrecks on YouTube. Yes. And honestly, I just thought about this, but a lot of times it makes you feel better about your own life when you watch somebody else and you're like, dear Jesus, look at them. And, you're like, hey, I'm not doing that bad. And all this subconscious things that are going on into what makes us do what we do, like what we like, watch what we watch. Just go with it. Did I see your pretty mugshot last night, Stephanie? Your mugshot is, the fact that you only have one is you're doing a whole lot better than me, because I've lost track of how many I had. And you look pretty darn good, to be honest. Hey, Observation. So, And boy, I've got a lot of thoughts. So slow me down if I'm going too fast. But that goes into my next comment. I've written some of these things down. Hey, Princess Fortunate. Where was the mugshot? Did somebody put it up? Somebody did that to me, but back in the beginning. I guess they've gotten used to it now. There was a couple people that made, or a person that made a couple accounts with my mugshot. 13 mugshots, I think is what the name of the person was. So, at least I got somebody counted up the mugshots for me. If you put yourself on YouTube, which takes some effort, you've got to have a computer or a phone, it's a couple steps to log on and to sit there and to talk to the camera. That is something that you are willingly doing. Expect to be criticized. Expect to be trolled. Expect to have hate comments. We live in a democratic society. Internet is the cesspool of the worst thoughts and people that we have in this United States. So you are going to get that. That is just part of it. Like if you sign up for a job, you can't complain about the boss all the time, or you can't complain about what they hired you to do. This is in the job description. There should be a little disclaimer when you create an account on YouTube saying there is a good chance that you are going to be made fun of and hated on and whatever. That's just part of it. Stop, please, people. Stop begging people to get off your back or stop being critical. My goodness, you have the ability to block, you have the ability to delete. So they're making it easy for you to not even have to hear these comments if you don't want to, which I think is silly. The people who delete hate comments, it's like, who are you hiding them from? You read it, so who is it going to offend me? Now, I do believe in deleting comments that are offensive to other people, like racial comments or anything against somebody's sexuality or ethnicity or anything like that. Absolutely should be deleted. But if it's just a critical comment towards them and you delete it, it's like, okay, live in denial, right? Par for the course. I just think it's so silly. Hey, two of a kind. Now we have the ability to block people in chats and not see their comments. Okay. I see what you're saying. So you can block the whole person, not just delete their comment. I thought it was very sad that she went out of her way to take down any person and call amends, and she did that. Oh, to Stephanie? Why did you think that was sad? I know Stephanie was just trying to make an effort to make some peace because I know what you mean, Stephanie. It's not fun to hate. It's fun to hate watch, but it's not fun to have hate in your heart towards somebody and be actively vicious. Hey, hope with peace. So I think that's what she was doing is just for her own. Somebody asked her to, which I think the thing that you should be upset about is the person asking for that to be done. Come on. What are you going to do that for every person that makes a video about you? There's thousands of them. Stephanie taking those videos down did nothing for that person's reputation or, I just don't even understand the point of it, honestly, but I understand why you did that, Stephanie, and I don't think that, first of all, how did anybody even notice that? Was that like something that was public? Because if I wouldn't have any clue if somebody took down some of their old videos unless I like really actively, basically stalked them. So I'm not even sure how people knew you did that. Hey, Delisha. Stephanie, was that okay? How I said it? Mel, if you think she did it for herself, that's not what we're really talking about right now. Jillian. I agree, Silver Wings. I agree, honey. It's, honestly, for a little while, I just see bits and pieces, but for a little there, I was like, maybe, just maybe, but I know better. And then I saw that she brought up all the case that was dropped, which let me just briefly say, I'll be willing to answer any questions regarding that too. That person took charges against me for cyber stalking, and the case was dropped. And I guarantee you that the person did not walk away because of kindness. And if that's what she wants to perpetuate, you didn't have to. I would have been just as happy for you to continue on. The real reason is that you knew that they were basically going to make a fool of you. And I appreciate what you did, and I'm glad that it's resolved. And I thought we had an understanding. You apologized to me, and I accepted that for what it was. And I've not talked about you, and I thought you weren't talking about me. But when you brought up that case again, it's like, no, that's not the reality of what happened. But anyway, that was very disturbing to me in my personal life. It was very expensive. I'm still paying for that. I just got a bill the other day. I was going to bring it in here to show you all. And it was right in the middle of me having back surgery and back surgery going wrong and having to go back in and be cut on again. It was extremely stressful and disturbing. So, you know, and just to say in general, people who want to reference that period of time and act like they know something that I don't, or they know something about what happened, let me tell you, the lawyer was very expensive and was very thorough. And you don't have anything on me, no evidence or no, because at one point in time somebody was threatening that they knew what had really happened and they had a reliable source. It's like, what's more reliable source than me? I'm the one who knows what went on. And this lawyer investigated very thoroughly, I promise you. But that's all in the past. I don't even like to go back in that time. It's like, look. Hey, Shannon. Hey, Rebecca. How are you doing today? I know. I agree with you, Cheshire. Honey. Hey, Sesame. I'm sick of seeing people's private lives on blast. It's disgusting. And Stephanie, I hate that it happened to you last night and you sure handled it with class. Oh, I missed that. What, Stephanie? I know that you said your mugshot. Do you mind? Can you put in the chat what happened and whose video it was? Cheshire, my foot's doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. I think I said last time I had to go. That sore on the side ended up coming back in a weird way. So I am going back to the wound doctor every week, but it's going to get better. Hey, Casey, she deleted all the tweets but one. I don't even go on Twitter anymore. Plus, I think I'm blocked. So yes, thank you, Amy. She said you have gracefully moved on with your life. Absolutely. I learned a lot. I had no idea that this world of YouTube existed. I had my full name as my Oh, Sesame, really? She did that? I'm so sorry, Stephanie. I didn't even see that. Why is she going after you? I mean, my goodness. You took your videos down for Lord's sake. Hey, Mariska. I know. Evelyn, I feel like many in this community want some to fail. They hope for harm. It's disturbing. It is disturbing. And so when I was saying expect to be criticized and all that, there is a difference between being criticized and somebody stalking you or bullying you, like going over and over and over again. But then again, you know what I've seen that I think is really odd, and I'm not sure. I know you all have noticed it, but nobody's really pointed it out. Why, if somebody says somebody's emailing you, for example, I've gotten emails from this person and 100 emails, and they're telling me to die and that I'm a fat, ugly pig. You should not have had two. If you've had one, block that person. Why do you have any more than one? Or if you have this person keeps commenting, the same person comment, you should not have even more than one. If you didn't like what they had to say, block that person. But it's clear that some people are enjoying being so-called bullied. It's the negative attention, and it's also the victim mentality. Some people are so used to being a victim that they enjoy people being mean to them because they can say, look what happened to me. It's the same thing when people are sick, and then they get used to that attention they get when they're sick, so they want to be sick all the time. Now, if somebody changes their screen name or changes their email and continues to email you or continues to write messages that you consider threatening or bullying, I'm sorry you have to do it and it takes 5 seconds out of your day, but just continue to block them. There's no reason why you should have 100 emails from somebody unless you want them. Does that make sense? Do you all agree with that? Hey, Just Jen. Thank you, Sesame, you sweet thing. How are you doing? Are you still doing your video games? Yeah, victim campaign. It's like campaign. And it takes a lot. It does, just like with me. And, I have had years of being in pain, and it is tempting and it is easy to sit back and say, well, I'm used to being sick. People expect me to be sick. I'm just going to stay here and be sick. It does take a lot of energy and motivation and self-reflection to say, no, I'm going to be something different. So I do understand that it is a little difficult, but do it, because there's no joy in living like that. They want drama channels, so they take drama out of absolutely everything. Exactly, two of a kind. I love my creative spirit. Well, hello, dear. Oh, good, Sesame. And I'm not just talking about one person. That's not even the person I had in mind. Or unless you send them to yourself, people might be, that's it, Stephanie. I don't know. I look so different how you all are seeing me than what I see. I like what I see. I wish I looked like I do over here. Ooh, smelly feet, you need to go. You're grossing me out. Thank you, Melissa. I put some thought into this. Okay, what else do I have to bitch about? I think this next one is something that we basically already covered, but the bullies, which I hate I don't even like to use the word drama. I don't like to use bullies because these words like triggered and everything are just in my brain and so attached to other things that I don't like that I just don't even like to use them. But anyway, people on here who beg to fight with people. They literally, that's their, um, description of who they are. I like to fight with people, or people begging to, come on, I want somebody to basically go back and forth with me. That is not normal. And if that is actually was looking at, because I was helping my niece study, she's a psychology major. And so we were going over some of the psychologists, and I was looking at Maslow, which I know a lot of you are familiar with, the hierarchy of needs. but he also was talking about the self-actualized person, which you should read about that. It's very interesting. And there's like 10 characteristics of a self-actualized person. And one of them, number 3, is not to seek to shock or disturb. That is a characteristic of somebody who self-actualized, which however you want to describe what self-actualized is, just basically somebody who's leading a happy, good life. If you have the desire to fight, and I'm not talking debate, that's different. Debating a topic that's civil and that's intelligent, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fighting with people. Gosh, we need some new drama. We need something new to talk about or fight about. That's not normal. That's unhealthy. And it all stems from something subconsciously where, I mean, this is what Freud would say. You can tell I've been reading a lot of psychology, who I don't agree with on most things, but his understanding and way of describing the brain, where there's the ego, which is the person that you see, the person that consciously makes movements and speech and things like that, and then the subconscious, and then the unconscious. And then there's also the super ego, but we don't need to talk about that. But he said that 70% of everything we do is motivated by our subconscious. And the subconscious is based on old things that have happened to you. And if they were something that was negative that happened to you, that's seared into your subconscious. And that's what motivates a lot of what you do. If something really tragic happened to you when you were younger, and particularly if it's something that you've not resolved, it's going to come through in all of your actions. And it would make sense in Freud's way of thinking that if you seek to fight and kind of win an argument all the time, or constantly put people on blast, then that's probably something that happened to you when you were younger. And you felt like the victim. You felt like you were not in control and somebody was doing that to you. And so you might not even realize you're doing it, but that's something that you want to do consciously, is to not feel that way, to not be the victim, but to be the person that dominates, the person that is the winner, the person that bully mentality, the people that bully others. Every time, 100% of the time, were bullied when they were younger. There's no exception to that. So it's just a matter of self-awareness and understanding, why do I have this in me? And believe me, I am not preaching like I know it all or that I'm doing it all. But I can say that I have had a lot of time to reflect. I mean, I was in I was in prison for over a year, and believe me, there's lots of times to reflect in there. Plus, I've not been working, and I've been thinking about these things. So, not to say that I'm perfect and that I'm doing all these things perfectly, but just a thought. Just a thought, since that seems to be the big word on YouTube, is bully. Is if you are doing that, maybe understand why. And for the people that are doing it to you, if you're upset about that, just understand that that's clearly something that has happened to them when they were younger, or maybe even when they were older. And they want a chance to be victorious this time, to not be the one that gets bullied. They want to be the bullier. So just pointing out some things that I've seen, and I've seen it from many people, not just one person. Okay, let's see. Whole Uber Mama Bear, then I got in the middle of it. I shouldn't have, because it wasn't my fight. I didn't mean to get angered. Thank you, Helen. Rebecca, my opinion about that is, I think I didn't see the argument or that big blowout that happened between you all. It sounded awful. It sounded absolutely awful, and I'm sorry that happened to you. But you know, Uber is my girl, and I don't know. Do you think there's any truth to what she said? And I know that you're going to take your mom's side. Of course, everybody would take their mom's side. But if you take yourself out of the situation for just a minute and pretend that you are abiding, not in the middle of it, is there any truth to? Do you think that your mom could have shut it down? I don't know. I like I said, I've never seen the video. But regardless of whether there was truth to it or not, it needs to be dropped. I think that both people are good people. They both have their flaws, they both have their strengths. It was criticism or one observation made. It's not like Uber is going after your mom every day. So it was just one video, and she was upset. She was mainly upset for you, was what I took from it. So I think that it just needs to be dropped, in my opinion. You can't put yourself out of the daughter role. I understand, Mariska. It's very hard. I mean, believe me, if somebody was criticizing my mom, I don't care if she was dead wrong. I would still stick up for her. And I understand completely where you're coming from, and maybe that wasn't fair of me to ask you that, but I just mean in general, could you maybe see where other people were coming from? I watched your channel and a few others, but because of the petty arguing and hate, I'm reluctant to talk. I think you're wonderful, and if I would have had a daughter, I'd like her to be like you. Oh gosh, I don't know if you meant that for me, Rebecca, but thank you, Debbie. That was beautifully said. And I understand what you're saying, where you're reluctant to talk. I'm reluctant to even do a video. People that pick up on everything, but my first observation that I made, that if I put myself out here, I've got to be prepared to be critiqued and criticized. Um, if I don't like it, if I'm really that upset about it, I can turn the camera off, right? Uber said something about my mom the other day, but they need to apologize to each other. I agree. I think for the sake of you, because the argument was about you. I think that both everybody, Uber and your mom, about what was happening to you. So maybe they can just agree to disagree, because honestly, the fight is for you being upset. And both of them agree on that. So maybe they can just say, well, let's agree on that. And we have different opinions about how it could be resolved. Jillian, I think you're exactly right. She said, I think tensions were running high. Rebecca was a bystander, but it was sad that Rebecca was hurt. She's a sweet girl. She is a wonderful, sweet girl. I think that, to me, we're so wise. And it's interesting because listening to your mom, and seeing what, you grew up with, and getting kind of a glimpse of probably it was like being brought up by your mom, which we have a lot of similarities, Rebecca. My mom was a single mom. She had two girls, 4 years apart, which is just similar to you and your sister. I was 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old when they divorced. My mother never got any support. She did everything on her own. She worked as many jobs as she needed to take care of my sister and me. So we have a lot in common. And I know how fiercely protective I am of my mom, so I can completely understand your role. But anyway, what I was saying is, seeing a little glimpse of probably what it was like growing up. I think you've come out to be a very intelligent, open minded individual. Um, you were very well loved on YouTube, Rebecca, and I think that's something to be very proud of. It is so hard to hear, Stephanie, believe me. Which leads me to another point. I've got to plug my phone in. Stephanie said, Marla, I do agree that if you put yourself out there, you'll be criticized. It is hard to hear sometimes. Stephanie, you're exactly right. Now, if somebody says something really wacko and mean, like, I don't know, I don't even know, wishing you to die or you don't deserve to live, something stupid like that, kind of easy to just pass it off and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. However, if you are getting, now tell me if y'all agree with this. If most of your videos, or even just maybe one video, gets significantly more thumbs up, thumbs down than thumbs up, and you are getting the same criticism over and over by multiple people, instead of saying those bullies, they don't like me because of blank, 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 or the devil is using them, or making excuses why that's the reality, there's a good chance that you might just be an asshole or what you are saying is wrong. Would you agree with that? Because I was thinking, I was going through my mind about people, big YouTubers, small YouTubers, that have more thumbs down than, there's not a lot, but I can pretty consistently say that I think that those are that way for a reason, and that the people in those videos should really, really self-reflect. Do you all agree with that? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm waiting. Okay, Stephanie says, no, I believe there's little truth in every criticism, or at least most. I agree 100%. Yep, exactly. One Wendy. Hello, Wendy. She says, yeah, claim to want to hear the truth, but when they do, they can't stand it. Rebecca said, when you said people give me money and that's how I afford my makeup. I didn't hear that, but I know you get money, so which is your business. I do want to, I wish you were, I'd come and raid that closet of yours because you got some good makeup. Yes, Kitty. Mother and daughter relationships are very complex. My entire life, my mom has always been known by the name Peacemaker. I can't recall a single instance where I was placed in a position to defend her behavior. Well, I think that is a hard, difficult position for a child to be in, and I don't think it's a very fair position to be in that position consistently. I don't know. I'm not a mother, but those of you who are a mother, if you felt like your child was constantly having to defend you, would you stop what you were doing? Or would you say, that's a good experience for her and I want to keep on? I don't know. Hey, Cash. I mean, how can you possibly think it's another person's fault when it's a repetitive thing in your life? Tracy says, my darling Tracy says, I can't believe for a second Wendy would say such a thing, Rebecca. Yet, Wendy, do you have anything to say about that? I have a hard time believing you would say that too. It's probably a misunderstanding. Jillian says, Kitty, same here. My mom's my hero. Jillian, I wish I could meet you. Maybe one day. One day. Okay, Wendy said, never. I never said that, Rebecca, nor do I think about your money. It's not my business. Yeah, I can't see Wendy caring about that. And for the record, Rebecca, I don't think that that's how you afford your money, because I don't give you a lot of money from what I can tell. And you got a hell of a lot of good makeup. So it's what you choose to do with the money that you earn, and the money that you rightfully to get from your disability. So that's what I have to say about that. I think pretty much everybody would agree. Devil Dogmon said Wendy did not say that. Well, let's just agree that she didn't say that, didn't mean that. And Rebecca, I'm sorry if your feelings got hurt, but I don't think anybody here thinks that. Tracy says, Wendy does not ever speak about Rebecca to me, nor have I heard her ever mention you anywhere. Yeah, and Tracy and Wendy are really, really close. I could use some money, says Tanya. I know, right? Okay, so everybody's saying, Rebecca, that Wendy never talks about you, and if she does, it's in a positive way. Mama Bear says she said that when she was on Uber. Well, if you all can produce the screenshot, but otherwise it was something that Wendy would be very, very out of context or out of character for her to say that, and that's not something that. So I would take it like that. Yeah, I know that she's always said that you were really sweet to me too. Tracy says Rebecca Hunt had to be a misunderstanding. You're really sweet. Yeah, whenever we've talked about you, which is very rarely, she's always said really. And Mariska, there's always going to be a little tiff, but once again, if y'all can just look at the big picture and look at what's really maybe happening here. Wendy is saying that this is not something that she's ever felt before, and it's not something that she thinks now. Let's just accept that that's not what was meant, and most likely was a misunderstanding, that was not what was written. And until we see proof otherwise, it doesn't need to be talked about. Thank you, Rebecca. Intentions were good. I totally believe that from Wendy. Okay, what else do I have on my bitch list here? Okay. Oh, now this is another. Tell me what you all think about this, because you might not agree with me. And I think this is really, really neat that a lot of people have become personal friends in real life. Although I think this is pretty much, I mean, I know what they're saying by real life, but this is a reflection of your real life part. But a lot of people have become friends outside of YouTube and they talk on the phone, and some people have even met up with each other, etc. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, so and so is a really good person in real life or one on one, but then they're an asshole on the computer. Now, what do you all think about that? Here's what I think. I think that 99% of the world's population is going to be pretty nice one on one. That unless they have a preconceived idea or pre beef with you, there's no reason that somebody's just going to be an asshole to you when you call them on the phone to talk about their life and to get to know them. People aren't like that. Almost everybody, when you meet them in person or have a relationship one on one with them, you're going to see their best side. Agreed? However, that is a relationship usually one on one, maybe two on one. There's a group of three people that know each other. But when you get on the computer and you're talking to thousands of people, you're affecting amount of people by what you say. And to me, that is very significant. And if somebody is going to be a jerk and say horrible things that you don't agree with, or be cruel to people, drag people, and you don't agree with that, but you excuse it by saying, "But they're a really great person in one on one when I talk to them." No, they're not. They're not. You're just seeing the best side of that person, and everybody has a best side, and everybody has a not so best side. I always give this example that Hitler's housekeeper wrote glowing things about him. He was very nice one on one to his housekeeper. And she couldn't conceive how he could do these, murderous, horrific, most evil things ever. So I just, what do y'all think about that? You're speaking to myself, damn it. I see a lot of people. You win, yeah. I understand, honey. Is Uber here, my darling? Mama Bear and nobody else. Uber is very welcome here. So please do not tell her to go anywhere. I cherish any sort of moment I have with Uber. Hugs back to you, darling. You picking up what I'm putting down, Stephanie. Thank you. Jamie is exactly right. Mama Bear, you are welcome here, but please be respectful. That's your only warning. Whatever you have, whatever beef you have, that's something that person. Do not use my channel to air your nasty somebody that I care about deeply. Hey, far, far away. Welcome. Thank you, Tracy. So, anyway, that's what I'm saying. It is hard when you do have a friendship with somebody to see them get on 800 people and say things that you're like. So, I guess it would, if I were in that situation, I would either, number one, probably stop being friends with them, or number two, at least speak with them about what your thoughts are. And no, you don't have to agree 100% with what your friends do. That's not what I'm saying at all. But if it's something that significantly goes against your character and they're doing it publicly, then yeah, I think that it does speak badly about you if you're friends with them. Quick example. This is a little bit not exactly parallel, but one of the things that I also wanted to do when I got out was to get involved with the church. I did. I found this really great church that opened right as I was getting out. Well, it was like March, so a few months after. Loved it, wonderful, fell in love with everybody. It was everything I wanted. Okay, loved it, loved it, loved it. I wanted to start working with the children and teach Sunday school. So I met with the pastor one on one to tell him about my past. And so, I'm sure they would do a background check. And I just wanted to explain to him where I'd come from and what I wanted to do involved with the church. Okay, so we had a great one on one relationship. The very next sermon he gave publicly, in front of the congregation, was about being transgender was not a part of God's plan for you. That is not something I believe. That's not something I endorse. And I could not be a part of that. I certainly could not sign on to teaching children that. If he wants to have a church and promote that, that's his. If people want to follow that, that's their right. But there is no way I was going to represent that by being friends and by being a member of that parish. Does that make sense? So sometimes when you have a friendship and that person goes on to preach or to talk about things that you vehemently disagree with, you've got to either sever that relationship or at least make it known that your opinion is not the same as theirs, because it does reflect badly on you. I would never want somebody to think that I agreed with that. Never. So anyway, that was kind of a dumb example. Hey, Mordecai. Mordecai Cat Nor. You always are changing your name, girl. Kitty Barnett. Same here. You kind of agree with what I'm saying? You're picking up what I'm putting down? Love you, Uber. Hola. Okay, moving on. I got a list here. Okay, since we're talking about religion, see, I'm bringing up all the subjects, aren't I? I consider myself a Christian. I have studied the Bible. I was very involved with Campus Crusade and FCA when I was in high school, and Campus Crusade when I was in college. I've been on several missions trips. I led Bible studies, etc. All of that is to say that I've studied the Bible. I've had the Bible taught to me. I've learned it on my own extensively. If you are trying to speak about God to non-believers, Christianity, or to encourage people in their walk with Christ, the thing that you need to remember foremost, most importantly, is something that Jesus said, and that is that they will know you are Christians by your love. Period. There's a song, I know if you went to Bible school and stuff, you know that song, they will know you are Christians by your love. Please think about that when you are talking about religion, because I see people talking about Jesus and talking about Christianity and filled with hate, filled with anger, leading a life of judgment and you're not going to attract anybody by being that way. You're not going to draw anybody to God by being that way. And it's a representative of, you're not representing the God that you supposedly are trying to promote. Does that make sense? I'm just speaking about this, one religion. I can talk about other things. Just what I've seen is people talking about Christianity specifically. And no, you don't have to be perfect. Absolutely not. You're not going to be perfect. But if you are consistently being a negative, mean, cruel, vindictive person, that is not Christianity. People are going to know you are a Christian by your love, period. How you react in negative situations, how you react to being attacked, how you react to being lied about. And if you act just like the rest of the world does, you're not showing Christianity. Okay, that's my little soapbox about that. Moving on, we're not even going to go any further than that. But I had to address it because it's something that's important to me. And it's something that's important to me. Okay. This is just a little pet peeve, probably because I'm a recovering addict. I've seen people call other people drug addicts, alcoholics, or the both because they don't like them. Or they have one glass of wine or one beer or something. They're automatically an alcoholic. Please don't do that. Please don't do that, particularly if you're a recovering addict. I saw recovering addicts because they don't like the person, they call them an alcoholic. That's just wrong. And that being an alcoholic or a drug addict or struggling with substance abuse is so deep and so damaging, so prevalent. It is something that I'm deeply, deeply, deeply passionate about. That don't toss it around like it's nothing. like saying somebody's short or fat, ugly, giving them the label of alcoholic or drug addict is huge. And what it does is it makes it more difficult for people who are struggling with those things to come forward. If it's just a little kind of slander word that you use because you don't like somebody, it's more of a stigma placed on people who are struggling with those things. And believe me, from my own personal experience with this, denial and coming forward, it was clear that I was struggling, with this issue. I'd been incarcerated for it and still was like, I don't have a problem when I did. And everybody around me knew it. Um, so if it was that hard for me to admit what was going on, don't make it any more difficult by throwing those words around willy-nilly. If you truly think that about somebody, that should be addressed privately. And the only person who should be saying that is the person themselves, who, if they want to say, I am an alcoholic, I am a drug addict, if they want to say that, let them say it. But don't use it as just a thing to, try to get under somebody's skin. Do you all agree with that? I love Jesus and I drink too. My babies are safe, in bed, fed, and had their story read. TV. I need me time too. I'm human, not just their mom. Yes, Jill, you're doing great. You're cleaning and watching stuff. We do recover. Exactly, Stephanie. Have you, and I know you're cleaning, so you can't really respond, but you've probably picked up on that too. Yeah, when I wrote the stuff down. Thank you for saying that. I'm on a roll today. I don't come on very often, so I thought, let me just get all my bitching out. Just don't use something else to try to hurt somebody if that's what your goal is. But don't call them an alcoholic. Okay? Because you don't that person might very well be an alcoholic. And coming forward that they have a problem is hard. And they don't need somebody on YouTube diagnosing them. So can we just as a community get rid of those words unless the person wants to say it themselves? Okay, let's see. I'm on 6%. Let me go grab my phone charger and I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I thought I had everything together. I'll be right back. Oh my, I'm not going to be able to reach this. Let's see. I'm going to have to turn around here. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Reach right here. No, another pet peeve I have. They make phone chargers longer. It's always you know, when you're trying to lay in bed and charge your phone at the same time, it's never long enough, no matter where you are. I know you can get longer ones because my niece had one when we went to the beach. I was like, who else isn't wearing pants? Well, I'm wearing basically pajama pants. Because when you teach or when you're doing a video, you know, they can't see. Agreed, Stephanie. No arguing, please. Yes, it's already been warned. So feel free, wrenches. If somebody is still causing problems, they need to go. I've already warned people. This is not talking about what I'm talking about. Cool. But if you're coming in here to get to somebody else, stop it. That's immature, rude, and stupid. It makes you look like an idiot. Stop. Maybe if more people would speak some truth, this would get better ever. You're getting schooled, chaos. Okay. Thank you, Yujiro. I love you, honey. I just always am not sure how to say your name. You getting hangry? Me too. I need to make that sesame. Let me go through the rest of my list quickly. And I wish, let me see if I can pull this table. We'll do something positive next time. I feel like Uber when I do this. Showtime. Cute Uber. Uber just brought so much. I don't know. Here's what I think. She's lived a life with lots of trials, and she has managed to come out on the other side with joy, with humor, with wisdom, and I just think she's a treasure. I think that about a lot of you. That's why I wanted to interview her. I feel that way about B. I feel that way about Stephanie. I feel that way about Jillian. There's lots of you that, you know, you're not quite the same age as Uber, but I know that you've been through a lot and you just managed to have something that I want, you know, something that I strive to be like. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Calling alcoholic. Yeah, got that. Okay, I'm almost done. Oh, maybe that's all I had. Is that all I had? Yeah, because the next thing I have is my to-do list. So that must be all my complaining. Oh, no. Nope. Just kidding. I missed a page. I love you, Uber. Thank you for saying that. Oop. All righty. Thoughts. Okay, now this is me getting a little political, so just bear with me for a minute. Never mind. I hate when people say that. Turn it off if you want to, or watch. These are some things that this is not what I think is right or wrong. This is my opinion, so you have the full right to disagree with me. But I like to hear other people's opinion that I respect. So maybe if you respect me, it might be something you're interested in. Basically, here's what I called it. Talking about things that you have no education about or no personal experience with. Drives me nuts. And this is not just on YouTube, this is in life. For example, I was listening to a chat and they were talking about Obamacare. Okay. Now, I don't know everything in the world about this bill, but I do know some things, and I also have personal experience with it. Number one, there is no such thing as Obamacare. Obamacare was renamed, reformed, and is called the Marketplace. Okay? If you want to talk about that, it's called the Marketplace, and I have it, and it is excellent, an excellent program. It works beautifully for me. I know it's worked really well for people. And then I know some people that it didn't work so well for, and it wasn't a match for them. But to lump it all in and say Obamacare sucks, who would ever want that? Basically throwing shade indirectly on Obama, which is not even called Obamacare, it's called the marketplace. And let me explain it to you. This is just little tidbits of knowledge. The marketplace is a subsidized program, which means you can get any insurance you want, whatever you want. You can keep the insurance you had, you can get a new insurance. They give you quotes, as many as you want. Let's say you want health insurance and you want the quote from Cigna and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna and whatever it might be. Okay. And then they say each of these, let's say the insurance was $500 a month. But since if you qualify for the marketplace, the government will subsidize a portion of that so that it is more affordable to you. So the insurance that might be $500 is $89 for you, and you can pick which one you want. They have dental, they have medical, they even have like life insurance programs. So just a little tidbit, whether you agree with it or not, it's worked wonderfully. It's enabled me to have health insurance when I didn't have health insurance before. Honest to God, if I had had health insurance back when my issues started, maybe things might have gone a little bit better for me, and I might not have as many issues medically that I do now if I had access to better health insurance or health insurance that I could afford. Because, of course, everybody in America has access to health insurance. It's just better whether you can afford it or not. Okay. Another thing, this is just things that I've heard, picked up listening to different people. Same thing when you're talking about like welfare, people receiving anything, any sort of help from the government. Just be mindful that if you want to live in a country like we have to take care of our poor. It's not a matter of like moral issues. It's just the economy. So if you look at other countries that don't have welfare programs, they have a very, very strong, very, very wealthy upper class and poverty. There's not a middle class. And that's it. I don't want to go into the whole government class here. But if you're against the government supporting people giving out handouts or welfare of any kind, then that's not you don't want to live in this type of a democracy or government. Just do a little bit more research before you say that. I understand people getting frustrated with people who take advantage of it. That's going to happen everywhere. Wealthy people take advantage of things too. It's not really necessarily a moral issue, it's a human issue. People do that. Yes, it would be good to try to cut back on that, to have programs in place where people can't do that, but to be against it as a general idea means that you would prefer living in a country where there was no middle class, that it was extreme wealth and extreme poverty. That's just what it is. So people throwing that around like, yeah, people on welfare and then get out and work. Really? Until you're in that position and need help, you wouldn't be saying that. Like I said, not that I'm getting any help right now, but I would take it if I got some, because there's been a significant period of time where I couldn't work. So unfortunately, it's very, very, very hard to get disability. And especially, well, I don't know, especially, but in North Carolina, for a fact, it takes years and years. So there's not really any help for somebody in my situation. But if I had children or something like that, of course I would take money if somebody was going to hand it to me to take care of my children if I couldn't work. Anyway, totally different subject. Yes. Jamie. Tanya, I timed you out for the underwear comment. We just ousted a sexual predator. For those comments are not appreciated. I missed it, but definitely. Ugh. I didn't have any real, I remember him coming in my chats. Not that I had a lot, but I didn't have any sort, well, you know what? I'm not on Twitter. I mean, my messages very often. I'm not really sure how he would have gotten in touch with me, but to my knowledge, he never tried. That probably was too wacko for him. But that was great job on. I'm sorry what you all had to go through. And it's wrong for what he did to everybody. Just as a side note, I'll say it, and I think everybody pretty much agrees with this. Trisha, I'm horrified if that person said that, particularly about your daughter or your children. That's disgusting. And I hope that I would have said something if had I seen that. I certainly didn't see it in anybody's chat. So I don't, well, I almost never watch chats live. So until recently, I wasn't able to see the comments. But I think we can all agree that that's a good job for everybody getting together and getting him out of here. I know he's still probably lurking, but at least he's exposed, you know. Is there anything that can be done to get somebody like that permanently not able to be on the internet? There really isn't, is there? I don't know. Maybe there's rules that if you're identified as a sexual predator, I don't know. Does anybody know the actual legal reasons or legal rules about that? Exactly, Wendy. Exactly. She said we would have rallied to protect any child. Exactly. Or anyone. I mean, particular child, but anyone who was experiencing that. Okay, Kat says hopefully enough calls are going to be made to the police that they'll do something. In the state that he lives in, I know you all have tracked him down, so. How were you guys tipped off about him, Two of a Kind? From what I can understand, there were several people that were experiencing these weird kind of offline, not offline, but private conversations and sort of relationships that he was trying to form with people. And so everybody was like, oh, wait a minute, he said this to me and he did that to me. So through people sharing their experiences with him, everybody realized, oh my God. And Tracy echoes that, says, yes, we would, Wendy. Oh, Jamie says, as of June 2017, internet, including social media, is a right for everybody, for criminals, even if it's, well, if anybody is not even just a convicted pedophile, but if internet to, sexually harass somebody, clearly that's got to be illegal and something can be. Oh, thank you, Kim. Yes, Two of a Kind. That's creepy. Thanks for bringing an end to him around here. Yeah, Captain. What's his name again? Doesn't even matter. He won't use that name again, so you don't have to worry about it. But thank you, Cash. That was sweet. She said, "You have the most beautiful heart. And I simply adore you for it." I've got great, great people in here. Okay, moving on. That's just I must have written that down a week or so ago when I was listening to something. Okay, yeah, all this is just sort of petty stuff that doesn't really need to be brought up. Yeah, it was me spelling and grammar. I was getting on a teacher mode there. People saying her and I instead of she and I. Where are you at? Instead of where are you? Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. That's petty and just me being a bit. if it's a real life friend of mine, I'm not correcting people, but they know my teacher side comes out. And I do it tactfully usually. And if I know somebody doesn't want to hear it, I don't say it. So I shouldn't have even brought that up. So that's all my oops. That's I'm sure there's a lot more I could say, but just things that I've observed recently in watching people. Does anybody have, I'm sure you do, other pet peeves or things that you think need to be addressed? Thank you, Cash. You were too, darling. Your grammar is shit, Stephanie. I don't know why that. Well, you know what I used to tell my second graders is it was really hard because we had to do these things called running records where they would read and you had to critique every single syllable that they read. And some of the children would, okay, for example, if a child reads the word ask as ax, you have to count that wrong, even though they understand what the word means. Their pronunciation is actually using the word that they think is correct. They've been taught that way to speak. And so it's very hard for me to correct that because I didn't want to go against their culture or, what their parents had taught or the way their parents speak. But I would always tell them that they were very, very smart. And I could tell that they were really smart and special. And that when you mispronounce a word, people judge you and that they might not think you're as smart as you really are. So you want to do your best job to try and say things the correct way, the way that the dictionary tells us to say them. And that was the best way I could come up with. If they still said that, they still said that. I didn't correct them when they were speaking, but it was when they were reading, and being formally graded on it. They kind of needed to know when to just to be aware of it, aware of that mistake. If it was part of their dialect and they wanted to continue to talk that way, I don't see a problem with that. But knowing when to not do it, I guess, I think is a skill that was important to learn. Mariska gets you right. Oh, that's right, Stephanie. You're the math girl, honey. I think, listen, if I had to choose to be better in English or better in math, I would pick math because I think you're more successful when you are good at math, and I am not. I can do math, just about anything, but I can't do mental math. Like if somebody says, I don't know, it's a 3 cents and I gave them $1 and how much change, I can't do that instantly in my head like that, but I bet you could. He's so smart, Stephanie. Tracy says, I've read where they've been blocked from doing so. I'll read it, but I'm saying differently. Are you talking about what I was talking about, Tracy? Tanya, exactly. She says, I've got a calculator, so I'm set. I just am so amazed. I remember studying about the different intelligences, and I think they've added one, or they need to. People have a computer, like knowledge about computers. It's almost like it's innate. Um, like my sister's so good at computers, and she's just a smart person in general. But it's like never had any formal training, didn't go to college. How do these people know this? My ex-boyfriend was like that, so knowledgeable about everything about a computer. And I'd ask them, and they're like, I just practiced, as I went along, I learned. I'm like, honey, I could have 100 years, me alone with a computer, and still not pick up on those things. So I think there are people who are just naturally gifted with that intelligence. You struggle to concentrate, Mel. Well, there's medicine for that. I wish I could get some of that medicine because it helps you lose weight. I'm trying to convince my doctor. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I got enough issues. The sky looks, oh, yeah, the sun. Well, oh, don't forget that we set our clocks. So we lose an hour, but we get that beautiful starting to get darker later, which I love. Starting to get springtime. You're good at computers, Tanya. Another thing is people being good with directions. Now, just like with everything, you can learn to get better, but I think that there's some people who are just naturally gifted with direction. Me, nope. I've learned to pay attention and to try to get better. Like if oh, I just went away. I'm going somewhere, I'll try to remember the street names so I can get back, but there's no natural talent there. Mariska, have you lived in Amsterdam your whole life? See, I'm jealous. I wish I. Yes, fall back, spring ahead. You got it, Uber. Uber, something that you said that just bothered me so much. I think about it all the time about you being warm enough. I remember you said because I'm sure it is expensive to keep your house a certain warmth because you're really north. But I always think, oh, is Uber warm enough? I know that sweet lady. Who was it that sent you that beautiful shawl? That was so sweet. Kim, I'm with you. She's on horrible computers, direction, math. I can't remember my name half the time. Seriously. And then I wasn't that good to begin with. And then the medications I take, I swear, make me have like short term memory loss. Well, Stephanie, honey, I'm sorry that you dragged last night and phooey on them, because you are a doll. I love your little feisty, investigative self. You're going to get to the bottom of whatever it is, and I love that about you. Oh, is Kiki in here? I wanted to say, I don't know if that's the same person. I happened to see that girl. I don't know who she is, but she was talking about her dog needing surgery. It was a service dog, and the way that the person reacted in that chat, I was so shocked. Basically said, "Shut up. We're not talking about this. This is, I'm not in the mood to be charitable." I was like, "Oh my God. Wow." I remember that happening before when Shoot the Shit was like, "Can you come over?" And, they needed help with their charity program that they were doing. And somebody was like, "I'm not in the mood. Basically, I'm trying to tear somebody's life apart right now and expose them for being a drug dealer." I didn't know you had to be in the mood to be charitable. Like, to me, that should surpass whatever's, you're trying to do that's negative. So Kiki, if that's you that's in here, I hope your doggy's okay. And I know Seabreeze was going to set up some sort of fund, or let me know if that's happened. Now that I've got a job, I won't be getting paid for a while, but at least I can begin to start giving back, which I've already talked about. It's about time. Exactly. Titi's mod did. She didn't even ask. Oh, thank you, Rhonda. Okay, she is going to get the help, Tracy. I'm so glad. I don't know who Kiki is, but she seems like a nice girl. Would love to know more about her dog. Was it Colleen Taylor that raises has the service dogs? I asked that. Apparently, it was the first culprit you would think it was. Yes, she was born. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. Yes, Tracy, it does. It makes you feel really good. Makes you having a job makes you feel like you're motivated in the morning to do something. When you don't have a steady income, even if it's small, it can be very small, but if it's something when you have nothing coming in, it makes life hard. Okay, Uber, darling. I'm getting ready to get off. I'm going to go cook. Well, I think that's all I wanted to say. Just say hello to you all. That was a whole lot of bitching. I'm sorry for that, but I had to get it off my chest. Um, but I do love all you all in here, and you all are some really great people. And I appreciate you, not forgetting about me, even though I go for a while without getting on. Maybe I can get on a little bit more, but um, I do love you guys, and even though I don't comment a lot, I do try to watch a lot of your all's chats. So I do try to keep up with the people that I care about. And um, y'all have a great night. Hopefully, I'll talk to you soon. Good night, everybody.